Thank you, Mr. Chairman. His Excellency the Governor, Mr. Boyd McCleary, Speaker of the House of Assembly, Honourable Ingrid Moses Catliffe, Deputy Premier Dr. Ron Burkett Pickering and other members of the Cabinet of the BVI, Deputy Governor, Ms. V. Inez Archibald and Dr. Archibald QC, Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Ralph T. Neal, Attorney General Dr. the Honourable Christopher Malcolm, President of the FATF, Mr. Bijon Amo, Chairman of the CFATF, Mr. Manuel Gonzalez, Executive Director of the CFATF Secretariat, Mr. Calvin Wilson, other members of the House of Assembly, members of law enforcement fraternity of the Virgin Islands, delegates to the 36th plenary of the CFATF, other invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Let me add my words of welcome to the delegates of the 36th CFATF plenary. We in the Virgin Islands are indeed glad that you have been able to make it to our territory, and I'm advised that some of you have traveled far and wide to be here. I trust that your presence here this week will be worth the hours spent on the road and in the air. As you embark on the important task of discussing issues of mutual interest in the continuing fight against those who engage in the activity of money laundering, terrorist financing, and proliferation financing. I'm sure you'll find the Virgin Islands affectionately referred to as nature's little secrets, and Virgin Islanders and all those who inhabit our shores to be friendly and welcoming. For some of you, this may be your first visit to the Virgin Islands. Well, I invite you to discover nature's little secrets in the hope that your first visit will turn into the beginning of many more trips to the Virgin Islands, not only for work, but also for pleasure. For those of you who are visiting second or more time, or have simply become regulars, I welcome you back to our shores and trust that outside of your work, you will find the time to enjoy your favorite spots and discover new ones as well. My government and the people of the Virgin Islands are indeed pleased to be hosting the 36th plenary of the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force. The Virgin Islands is a founding member of the CFATF, and we value and cherish our relationship with the organization. We recognize the important role the CFATF plays in the region in keeping with the organization's main objective of achieving the effective implementation of and compliance with established standards with respect to detecting and preventing money laundering and terrorist financing in our individual jurisdictions and in the region as a whole. By keeping to this fundamental objective, the CFATF has over the years demonstrated its pivotal role as a significant partner in the global fight against money laundering, terrorist financing, and other forms of financial crime. It is therefore imperative that we continue to play individual and collective roles in fostering bilateral, regional, and international cooperation by adhering to the established standards for effectively combating money laundering and the terrorist financing and all other related criminal activities. As a tourist destination and a premier financial services jurisdiction, the Virgin Islands understands just how well good reputation matters. In fact, it means everything. A hike in the level of criminality in our society would likely keep our visitors away. If we turn a blind eye to any abuse of our legitimate business structures, those that engage in money laundering, terrorist financing, and other forms of financial crime will see a haven in the Virgin Islands. This will create a serious dent in our reputation as a tourist-friendly jurisdiction and a well-established international financial center. Consequently, our only recourse is to build and strengthen our law enforcement defenses, in addition to ensuring the enactment of appropriate legislation that complies with established standards to curb the spread of criminality. The Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, the Financial Action Agency and Customs Department have the primary responsibility of guarding the perimeter of our borders. And along with the Immigration Department, a close watch is placed on those who make it their business to smuggle people into and through the Virgin Islands. In order to ensure that there's a good appreciation of the ills of money laundering, terrorist financing, and other forms of financial crime, and to establish appropriate mechanisms for detecting and preventing such activity, there's active collaboration between all the key institutions of government. We have in place the Intergovernmental Committee on AML-CFT, which comprises the Ministry of Finance, the Attorney General's Chambers, the Customs Department, Police Force, the Immigration Department, Trade and Consumer Affairs Department, Shipping Registry, Airports Authority, Ports Authority, Office of Director of Public Prosecutions, Post Office, and Financial Services Commission. This committee, which is chaired by the Financial Services Commission, holds regular meetings and has the primary function of creating, enhancing, and promoting public awareness of issues relative to money laundering and terrorist financing, promoting cooperation and information exchange between the institutions concerned in order to detect and prevent money laundering and terrorist financing, raising red flags to each other of any activity that involves or may relate to potential criminal conduct or breach of any law on drug trafficking, money laundering, terrorist financing, and related offenses, and promoting cooperation with foreign regulatory, administrative, and law enforcement agencies in relation to any money laundering or terrorist financing matter. This institution effectively serves the useful role of an intelligence governing body by promoting cooperation amongst all the key government institutions. We consider this to be an effective medium for detecting and reducing criminality in our society. In addition, the Joint Anti-Money Laundering and Terrorist Financial Agency Committee, which is a public-private sector body, also aids the Virgin Islands fight against money laundering and terrorist financing. It essentially advises on initiatives relating to the detection and prevention of money laundering and the terrorist financing activity, including adherence to established standards on AML-CFT issues. Those who engage in the activities of money laundering and terrorist financing neither know nor respect borders. They permeate every territorial boundary, and if left unchecked, can create instability and distort national economies. We cannot let them have the upper hand, but to win the war, we must all adhere to the established standards of compliance and enforcement, improve our national law enforcement defenses, and engage in greater regional and international cooperation. A robust legal, regulatory, and enforcement machinery against money laundering, terrorist financing, and other forms of financial crime promotes a viable business environment and sustains economic life. It does not